Welcome back to our series counting down the most disappointing teams of the Super Bowl era. We are now officially in the second half of the countdown after taking a look at the 2001 Tennessee Titans at number 17. Before we get to number 16, we need to talk about C-Score. If you're new to the channel, C-Score is a metric we created with the intent to give a thorough evaluation to every single team of the Super Bowl era that goes beyond the simplicity of its record. For a deeper explanation about how C-Score works, be sure to check out the description of this video. How do teams make it onto this list then? First, they put up a season with a positive C-score. Then they improve upon that C-score the next season, surpassing 15. After that, in season 3, their season drops into the negatives, with this one serving as the disappointment. The larger the drop from season 2 to season 3, the higher that disappointment will rank. Number 19 and number 18 gave us back-to-back entries from the same franchise. Now, number 17 and number 16 gives us back-to-back entries from the same season, with the 2001 Indianapolis Colts being the next team we're going to look at. Wanted to take a quick moment to thank you for joining us today. Please give this video a like and a few shares. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ding that notification bell as well. It helps out very much. Let's get this thing started. Decades on from their status as a juggernaut franchise, the Colts served notice that they were ready to return to that status in 1999. Led by an explosive offense, Indy went 13-3 with a plus 90 point differential. Their C-score sits at 16.181. I suppose if we ever did the reverse of this countdown, looking at breakout teams over a 3-year period, that this Colts team would be in prime position to make it on and make it on high. 2 straight 3-13 seasons preceded this one, and it was mostly an ugly watch. They had win number 3 this season by their 5th game, and by their 6th game, they had win number 4. And they just kept winning. In fact, they won 11 straight. The last time the Colts ever won 11 games in an entire season was 1976. Neither punter Hunter Smith nor running back Edgerrin James had even been born yet. Speaking of James, as we said, this team was led by its offense, and a lot of that fell on him. Even though they were only 3-13 the season before, they did have one offensive superstar in running back Marshall Faulk. But he wanted more money, a lot more money. Indy wasn't so inclined, so they traded him. Then Indy drafted James 4th overall, the first running back off the board when it was universally accepted that Ricky Williams would be the first one taken. Well, he had no problem fitting into the offense that did have another reason behind its emergence, a very young quarterback you may have heard of named Peyton Manning. Although the season ended in bitter disappointment with a one-and-done home playoff loss, the horizon was as wide as could be for this young, talented team. Although their record doesn't quite show it, the 10-6 Indianapolis Colts of 2000 was a slightly better team. That's because their overall performance level was higher, even though they played a more difficult schedule. C-Score recognizes that, giving them a slight boost to 18.134. We mentioned that 11-game winning streak from the season before. 8 of those wins were by 1 possession, including the last 5. This Colts team didn't see that same kind of fortune. In fact, they had a losing record in those games this season at 4-5, including 3 losses in a 4-game stretch, all by 3 points or fewer. Those losses were enough to push the Colts down to 2nd place in the AFC East. Yes, they were in the East at this time, but it wasn't enough to push them out of the playoffs completely. They barely got in as the 6th and final seed, and were given an opportunity to take on the team that took the division from them, the Miami Dolphins. It was also an opportunity to make up for their loss in the playoffs the season before. But in another heartbreak, this time in overtime, the Colts weren't able to get the job done, once again exiting the playoff stage. The problem was that this was a misshapen team. 8 different Colts had an approximate value of 10 or higher this season, according to Pro Football Reference. Every single one of them played on offense. The season prior, 9 different players had an approximate value of 9 or higher. Every single one of them played on offense too. That said, the defense was mostly fine. They were 17th in points allowed and 15th in yards allowed in 99, and this season those rankings landed at 15th and 21st. Without a single offensive player over the age of 29, the Colts were set to dominate in that department for years to come. A good draft and a few free agents on the defensive side of the ball, just getting them to the edge of the top 10 would be enough to take this lopsided roster and mold it into a true Super Bowl contender. With Bill Polian at general manager and a defensive-minded head coach in Jim Mora, smart money was on them succeeding. Smart money is not made money. The Colts did not improve on defense. They didn't even hold their ground. They got worse, a lot worse. And despite their offense staying as high-powered as ever, they saw their record drop to 6-10 with a negative 73-point differential, a difference of exactly 11 points worse per game than the season before. Their C-score makes this disappointment complete, taking a downward dive to negative 10.219. Despite all their offensive prowess, Indy stayed with offense with their first round pick in the 01 draft. Now, you're supposed to draft the best player available regardless of position, and there's no denying that they hit on that pick with wide receiver Reggie Wayne, a likely future Hall of Famer. But this would have worked out better if their subsequent picks were any good. Idris Bashir, high in the second round, became an immediate starter at safety and had some moments here and there, but he was far from an impact player. Nothing of that sort could be said at all about their third round safety, Corey Bird. Do you remember Corey Bird? Because I sure don't. They made 2 more defensive back picks, corner Raymond Walls and yet another safety in Jason Doring. Doring probably outplayed his 6th round status, but still, nothing much to see here. Beyond Reggie Wayne, the Colts landed Ryan Deem in the 4th round and Rick DeMulling in the 7th. Both became very good players, with Deem in particular becoming a standout. So the story remained the same. Indy could collect offensive talent, but not so much on defense. This free agency collection of Christian Peter, Sean Harris, and Mike Wells moved the needle by about half a millimeter. So we know the Colts allowed more points than anyone else in the league, but it's even worse than that. They allowed 486 points, more than 30 points per game when the league average was 20.2. Only the truly horrific 1981 Colts, the 1980 Saints, and the 1966 Giants had ever allowed more points in a season to that point. C-Score ranks this defense as the 10th worst of the entire Super Bowl era and the 2nd worst of the 21st century, only bettering the 2009 Lions. C-Score further ranks the imbalance between their defense and offense as the 5th highest of the Super Bowl era and the 3rd highest of the 21st century. This is all to say one thing: this defense stinks. Let's take a look at AV one more time. 10 different Colts had an AV of at least 7. They all played on offense. One of them was Edgerrin James, and he only played 6 games. No Colts defensive player could even clear 5. Such an incredible waste of a truly generational quarterback, serving proof that football is strictly a team sport and that one player can never be the reason why a team wins, not even someone as great as Peyton Manning. Although in his particular case, the 2011 season sure did say a lot. Even without the strict parameters we set for this countdown, this 2001 Colts team cannot be considered anything less than a staggering disappointment. Since we're now in the second half of the countdown, we officially turn the page here to continue our list, where we find the 2001 Colts with a disappointment score of negative 28.353. While 2001 isn't exactly the olden days, our next entry will bring us a lot closer to modern times. Be sure to join us for that video to find out who it's gonna be. With the Titans and the Colts dropping as far as they did in 2001, the NFL decided that both teams should be banished from their division and placed into a new one together. Okay, how that happened isn't exactly true, but the Colts finally started to fix the defense somewhat over the years, contending for the Super Bowl just about every season and winning one in 2006. Many will have scrubbed the memory of this 2001 season. The Colts moved on from head coach Jim Mora and brought in Tony Dungy, but not before Mora gave us the epic
playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Rant. You know I couldn't get through this video without mentioning that. Let me know your thoughts about these Colts. How many Super Bowls could they have won between 1999 and 2010 if they had great, good, or even decent defenses? Sound off on these topics or anything else you may have on your mind down in the comments section. Thank you once again for taking the time to join us today. And until next time, I hope you have an awesome day.